Did you know that over 70% of people today unknowingly share personal data that ends up training artificial intelligence models without ever giving clear consent? A good example is what's been happening with Studio Ghibli style images. Recently, AI models have been trained using millions of photos and artworks, sometimes pulling data from public spaces without people even realizing it. Reports even raised concerns that platforms were turning personal images, like your social media photos, into free training material for AI, all without clear, explicit consent. It shows just how easily our digital footprint, things we casually post or share, can quietly become part of massive AI systems. And that brings us right into the heart of today's discussion: data security, privacy, and most importantly, consent management in the age of AI. When we talk about AI, two concepts always come up: data security and data privacy. They're really two sides of the same coin, but they solve very different problems. Data security is all about keeping the data safe. It's making sure that information is protected from hackers, leaks, or any kind of unauthorized access. Think of encryption, layered security controls, authenticated access, all the measures that lock the doors and guard the walls. But then there's data privacy, and that's a little different. Privacy is about giving individuals control. It's about respecting how their data is collected, how it's used, and who gets to see it. It's less about locking the doors and more about asking permission in the first place, making sure people have choices, transparency, and rights over their own information. And the truth is, without both working together, AI systems risk losing the one thing they depend on the most: trust. This is where consent management becomes a game changer. It's no longer enough to say, hey, by using our service, you agree to everything. Real consent today must be freely given, specific to the purpose, informed and transparent, easy to withdraw at any time. Sounds easy in theory, right? But here's the challenge: AI doesn't work like traditional systems. AI learns from data you give and also from data you never intended to share. Public posts, voice samples, old photos, browsing patterns, all can be pulled into AI training without users fully understanding it. Even if you gave consent once, does that cover new AI models that are repurposing your data today? Probably not. Managing consent across such fast evolving, complex AI environments is one of the biggest challenges we face. Now, let's talk about why consent management in AI is so tricky. One big reason is what we call the black box effect. Most AI systems, even the ones created by experts, aren't fully explainable. When you can't clearly describe how a model is using someone's data, it becomes incredibly hard for users to give meaningful, informed consent. Because how do you consent to something you don't even understand? Another challenge is something we're all familiar with: consent fatigue. Everywhere you go online, you're bombarded with privacy notices, cookie pop ups, terms of service. After a while, people stop reading, they just click accept and move on. When that happens, consent becomes a formality, not a real choice. Then there's the issue of hidden inferences. Even if you share something innocent, like a photo or a voice recording, AI models can infer a lot more about you than you realize: your health status, your emotions, even your behavioral patterns. And most users have no idea that's happening behind the scenes. Another complexity is dealing with historical data. A lot of the data sitting in AI training sets today was collected years ago, maybe under very different terms. Repurposing that data for new AI use cases without going back and getting fresh consent is not just a legal risk, it's an ethical one too. When you put all these pieces together, the black box problem, consent fatigue, hidden inferences, and historical data challenges, it becomes clear that managing consent for AI isn't just about adding another checkbox. It's a whole new way of thinking about data responsibility. Now, the good news is the industry is starting to recognize these challenges. Big players like Microsoft have realized that managing personal data privacy in the AI era needs a fresh approach. That's where solutions like Microsoft Priva come in. Priva is focused on helping organizations protect personal data, minimize unnecessary exposure, manage consent, and respond to subject rights requests, all critical as AI systems continue to handle more and more sensitive information. It's no longer just about securing data at rest or in motion. It's about embedding privacy practices into everyday operations, making sure individuals' rights are respected as organizations innovate with AI. And it's not just Microsoft moving in this direction. OEMs like Salesforce, IBM, OneTrust, and others have also introduced consent management platforms to help organizations manage how customer data is collected, shared, and used across websites, apps, and customer engagement systems. These solutions have made tremendous progress in helping companies get better visibility and structure around user permissions. But as AI driven environments become more dynamic, where data usage can evolve rapidly and unpredictably, there's a growing realization that consent management also needs to evolve. The complexity of AI systems demands approaches that are more adaptive, more continuous, and more aligned with how AI models actually use and generate insights from data. And that's exactly where the next chapter of innovation begins. At Skysecure, we've been closely following these shifts. And over the past year, we've been working on something very focused, building a new approach to consent management that fits the world of dynamic, AI driven environments. We realized pretty early that traditional consent management platforms, the ones built mainly for websites and basic user opt ins, weren't going to be enough for where AI is headed. So we started developing a solution that's AI native by design. Something that's not just about collecting one time consent, but about making consent a dynamic living part of the data lifecycle. Imagine a system where an agentic AI interacts with users, guiding them through their privacy choices in a way that's simple, intuitive, and constantly adapting. A system where consent isn't something you give once and forget, but something you can adjust anytime as your preferences or the ways your data is being used change. Where users get a live, personal dashboard to manage their data permissions, revoke access instantly if they want to, and see how their information is being used, all backed by secure, auditable trails. And importantly, a solution that stays ahead of changing regulations like India's DPDP Act and future AI governance frameworks without creating friction for users or businesses. At Skysecure, this is the direction we're moving in, helping organizations not just adapt to new privacy expectations, but build systems where trust, transparency, and user empowerment are woven into every interaction. Whether it's through deploying platforms like Microsoft Priva or through our own dynamic consent management solution, our goal is simple: to help businesses and users navigate this new AI driven world responsibly and confidently. If this is something you're thinking about too, if you're exploring how to manage data security, privacy, and consent in a smarter, more future ready way, we'd love to continue the conversation. Reach out to us. We're always excited to work with those who see trust not just as a requirement, but as a foundation for innovation. A lot more details in the description.